2024 Arlington County Board of Equalization. We have 6 cases on the agenda today, and we start with PC 21-020-005. The property is located at 5724 2nd Street South. Mr. Davidson, you can start with your 8 minutes and tell us his property, sir.
Okay, thank you very much, and thank you everybody for your time. I'm going to assume that everybody has read my written submission, and I'll just summarize that briefly. The reason I think my assessment may be a little bit higher than appropriate. First of all, the total price of the assessment is roughly $1.6 million, and nothing in my neighborhood has ever sold for that much. So for that reason, I think it's high. In addition, if you look at the year-over-year growth in the assessment, I think the original letter that you sent me about Arlington average was around 3%, certainly low single digits, and my assessment went up 25%, which again seems awful high on a year-over-year basis. And finally, on a comparison basis, the name of this board is Equalization. I think in comparison to the other houses in the designated neighborhood, as I look at the building assessments, and I've submitted several comparables here, I see 835,000, 855,000, 858,000, 768,000. There is no other house that I've seen in the comparables market as a designated that was at $1 million, not even anything that was at $900,000 plus. So for me to be at $1 million and the next highest to be in the 800,000s seems to be, to me, to be an imbalance and not quite equalized. So for those reasons, I made my appeal, and I hope you will consider it seriously. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir. Ms. Churchill for the county, please.
Yes, good morning, board. An interior and exterior inspection was completed of this property on February 28th of 2024. The property is a 2-story cement fiber siding home with 5 bedrooms, 4 full bathrooms, and a finished basement. The year built is 2020 and effective age is 2020 as well. The quality is excellent plus, and the finished square footage is 3,089. The appellant feels that the 15.5% increase is unfair due to the market, and the appellant feels that the sale is the highest ever in the neighborhood and that the newer, nicer homes have sold for less. And the appellant also references interest rates and other market conditions that have depressed values and sales over the last 12 to 18 months. The appellant's neighborhood did increase on average 2.3% due to the sales that occurred within the analysis period and within the neighborhood. This property was a new construction in 2022, so the year built and effective age is correct. The appellant is correct in that they saw a larger increase than average due to the quality change that occurred last year after an inspection of the property. The quality was changed from excellent minus to excellent plus based on similar properties and newer builds. The property was inspected and there were changes made to the record. We corrected the bathroom fixture count from one of the bathroom fixtures from 4 fix to 3 fix, and the improvement value was changed from $1,950,000 to $984,200. So the total value went from $1,626,200 to $1,609,900. And it is recommended that the 2024 assessment value be revised to the $1,600,900 based on the inspection and the changes made to the bathroom fixture count. This amount can be confirmed as fair and equitable based on the sales analysis that was done for the neighborhood. Thank you.
Okay, thank you both. Questions from the board members? I'm just going to start, Ms. Churchill. You know, the thing I'm struggling with here is the appellant's point in my notes as well. There's no sales to support 1.6 million. So to have it assessed at that.
So we do have a recent sale in 2023. It was, and I think the appellant actually referenced it within his comps. It's the address is 5421 4th Street South. The RPC is 212614. The sale price was 1.57. 1,570,000, sorry. And the assessment value currently that we have is 1,459,700. So it's almost 1.5, which is similar to, it's close to the subject, but it is also about 500 square feet less than the subject. So we do have that one, but this neighborhood also, there are only 434 dwellings in this neighborhood, and it's mostly made up of 1,900 homes, year built, 1,900 homes. And there are only 23 dwellings that are over 3,000 square foot in the neighborhood, and the subject is one of those.
Okay, thank you. Other questions? No? Okay, Ms. Churchill, if you take a minute to wrap up.
Okay. Thank you. Again, we did make corrections to the property, changing the value from 1,626,200 to 1,600,900, and it is recommended that the 2024 assessment value be revised to that 1,600,900 based on the inspection and changes made to the bathroom fixture count. This amount can be confirmed as fair and equitable based on the sales analysis that was done for the neighborhood. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Davidson, if you take a minute to wrap up, sir.
I think I covered it, but again, I'm going to focus on the word equitable in comparison to other homes in the neighborhood, including newer ones that sold for more. My assessment is awfully high in comparison. We just talked about that nearest or most expensive comparable that sold last year. It sat on the market a long time, and it still didn't clear for 1.6 million. It had to be reduced. And it's newer. If you saw the inside, which I have, it's more advanced, and a lot of improvements have been put into it over the years. So that, in addition to the year over year, the 20% plus for the building itself, we're excluding land, which I'm not disputing, is out of proportion to what that neighborhood in Arlington overall did year over year in terms of increase in assessment.
Okay, thank you, Bob. Okay, it's just on the board. I think it's obsessed. So I don't know where everybody else thinks, but I look at it just like comp one. I don't think it's worth more than comp one. When you adjust for the land, it would put the building at 9,036. The total assessment of 1,520,000. Now the sale that Ms. Churchill just referenced that the appellant brought up, that sold at 1,570,000, and it's assessed, and she said it's smaller, but it's assessed at 1.459. So from a standpoint of equalization, I don't see how it can be higher than the 1,520,3. I don't think there's sales that support 1.6. Yeah, Mr. Lawson.
Yeah, I agree with you, Madam Chairman. I mean, I think this is about as good a job as I've seen an owner do with comparables.
Mhm.
And I thought comparable 2 and 4 that were submitted by the owner were right on point. And I think it ought to go. I think I compliment Ms. Churchill for lowering it, but I don't think it went low enough. I think it's at 1,570. I'll see if anyone agrees.
That came up 5 degrees off from his path, but it came up with the same.
I think it's lower down.
Really?
Yeah, and the only thing I wish I had asked, and I didn't see my question as I was looking, is his neighbors, direct neighbor. I would like to have heard his description of that house.
Mhm.
That's the same value as his. They're the only ones in the neighborhood. Oh, do you know it?
May I respond to that question?
The
It's just
neighbor,
among the board members now.
the neighbor next door actually says higher than this.
Yeah.
So to be honest, if an adjustment was, I would suggest that the adjustment be made. So from the neighbor next door, because to me, it's huge.
How's this house compare to that neighbor's? I did not.
I think they're similar. I think they're similar as far as square footage, construction, the build, age.
Yeah,
I think they're very similar. The map shows there's a mistake on the map where you see the lots. The numbers are not correct, like when you see on top, lot 1, 7, 20. There's 201, 5732, 5728, which is highlighted. This is actually 5724. So all the numbers are one lot over.
Oh,
So the one that's is listed at 5724 assessed for 1,628,000, it's actually 5720. And then the balance lot is 5724, which is assessed. But yeah, I agree with this. Ordered a very good job providing variables. And I like the one number 2 that he showed on his appeal. I think that's very similar. When you look at that, even though the price is not as high as the assessment, it's sold for 1.58, but the assessment is 1.75. So, and I agree with the owner. I think we're going to be equalizing assessments, and it should be below 1.5.
yes.
I'm sorry, so comp 2 is assessed for 1.47. Okay, you said,
Yeah, and it's a little early though in the period too.
So, my suggestion is going to be assess it on sales price that he had. The square footage is about the same, maybe a little bit different, but they bought the property for 1.489.
so I'm confused where you're at. So you're at 1.580.
1.4.
1.4, what's the sales price
Right.
comparable to?
And the
The
assessment,
assessment is 1.47.
That's what you think this should be.
I'm thinking that his assessment should be maybe slightly higher, and I was thinking at 1.489.
Really?
Sales price that he had.
Just coincidentally.
and I looked at comp 4 that he listed. It's being, and that assessment's 147.
Okay, now can I just back up a second? And then you also think the adjoining one?
The adjoining one, I think, is
I think they're both off.
even higher than this one, and I think because there's really no sales. So there's no sales at that level.
You wish that.
You cross the road on 50, you're gonna see on the north side sales like that, but not on this side.
And there's a difference between those two sides.
Okay.
Okay, got you.
It's not, not to mention the schools.
Yeah.
The roads. Okay, so because of the Swiss mark, so what's the other RPC number that you're looking at?
The other RPC number. The RPC number is correct.
No, of the adjoining one that you also want to lower.
It's 2102007.
And it's currently assessed at what?
That's a putty.
I mean,
That's a putty.
No, I'm sorry. It's 2102006. It's the one next to it.
and what is it assessed at right now?
1,628,100.
And what do you think that should be?
I think that both should be the same value. They both pay the same price at the time.
14755.
Well, they pay 1,489.
No, I realize that, but I'm saying, but you're saying to lower it to 14755.
No, it's 1.48.
89.
This is not the assessed values to the sales price. Okay.
So you're thinking in 3 years, it's been totally flat, the value. is
No,
right.
it's just no sales. And the assessment, I'm looking at the assessment values of all the other sales. Even though they sold higher, they're all assessed
Lower.
Yeah.
than 1.5.
Yeah, so to me, that the appellants at the equalization issue comes in. Okay, so.
Yeah, I could.
Yes. We're out.
Do you want to make a motion for the subject property?
Sure. I'll go ahead and make a motion to reduce this to 1,489,000 even.
The second,
I'll second.
Mr. Mendez, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, 6-0. Okay, so this property, RPC 2102005 has been reduced to 1,489,000 even. And then also, Like a second motion?
Yes, I'll make a motion to also make the adjustment to the same value RPC 21020006.
Second. Mr. Yates is a second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed. Okay, so adjoining property, the RPC number 21020006 has also been reduced to 1,489,000 even. And so, Ms. Churchill, I would ask that the county reach out to the homeowner and let them know that as well. Okay, thank you both.
And the town of the neighbor next door, I guess, wait for a thing.
Yeah, and your neighbor should be very happy with you as well, because you
I
have that
will
one
let them
lowered.
know.
They should take you out for dinner. There you go. All right,
Thank you very much for your consideration.
Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have Miss Telleria?
I'm here.
Mr. Puck. Okay, next case on the agenda is RPC 16014-296-1411 Key Boulevard. Mr. Puck, you can start with your 8 minutes and tell us about this property, sir. Sorry, hold on 1 second. Mr. Gutaboni, can you turn your camera off till your case is called, please? Thank you. Reset the clock, and Mr. Puck, you can start with your 8 minutes.
Hi, I go by Fawn. I'm hearing a lot of echo on my end.
Yeah, we do too.
Yeah,
Too many devices.
that's 2 phones, that's why.
Um,
Okay, because your phone is also connected. You're on 2 lines, that's why it's echoing.
Okay, is that better? Oh, I'm still getting a lot of feedback.
Can you not?
Hello? Okay. Oh. So let me know if you can't understand me.
Turn off your,
There you go.
Oh, it says that I've been removed from the meeting.
Perfect.
Hey. You undid the
So-
phone. Can you call back in and we'll admit you back in?
Okay, let me call back in.
And this one, so we can call on the right one. There we go. Let's,
Okay,
okay, that's much better. Okay, we're gonna restart the clock with your 8 minutes, sir. Go ahead.
great. I go by Fawn, by the way. So,
Fun, okay?
so let me just start by saying this. I did not realize that my property value has gone up because because my mortgage company never alerted me until I got a bill this past the latter part earlier this year. So I was just kind of shocked that the value has gone up for that high. So I reached out to Ms. Gautier, and so I got a list of comparables that she used to determine the value of my property. But then when I saw the attachments in the file, that some of the properties were left out and others were added in there. So I'm really confused. This is like, okay, this is what we use to determine your value, your property value. But then there were some were added later on. So I'm just don't even know what is the right comparables that were used to determine the value. And then furthermore, I used her own 2023 and compared it to 2024. And again, I need to go back to and do 2022 as well to see how that, from 2022 to 2023. I mean, why is that was big of a jump? So based on my analysis with the comparables that were given to me, the value in 2023 were higher than 2024. But then it blew my mind. Why did the 2024 value was stuck in there, was still determined at the same value as 2023? And then I also went back and look at some of the properties that are on sale in my neighborhood, there are a few units in my building that have similar square footage and is marketed at a lower value and have not been sold in over 6 months. And those properties have been sitting there for a long, long time. Then I also look across the street from where I live, which is a very, very luxury high-rise building. It has about 1,400 square feet and it's marketed at a much lower value. As a matter of fact, it says 860 with over 1,400 square feet. And that is a much luxury, much more luxury than the building that I'm living in. And so and then there were a few units right above me, which have the same floor plan. And the higher the units, as you go up, the higher the value. And those units were at lower value than the assessed value in 2024. So I'm just really confused. It's like, why was there a big jump from 2022 to 2023 over $100,000?
Okay. All right. Thank you, sir. Ms. Telleria, please, for the county.
Yes, thank you. Good morning, everyone. So the subject property is Unit 201 at the Key and Nash condominium. It is a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom condo with 1,157 square feet. It sits on the second floor. No interior inspection of the unit was conducted, but instead we did an exterior walkthrough of the grounds. The appellant is concerned that the time the unit sits on the market should be taken into consideration during the analysis, as there are units that have not been able to sell. Key Nash was built in 2018, and the majority of these units are still in original well-kept condition. There are 65 units in this Roslyn condominium, and during the 2024 analysis, there were a total of 4 open market sales. 3 of the sales were 1-bedrooms, and 1 was a 2-bedroom. Unit 402 sold in March of 2023 for $643,000. This unit is a 1-bedroom, 1-bathroom, 839 square foot with a den. It sat on the market for 29 days and is in original condition. Unit 308 sold in December of 2022 for $620,000. This unit is also a 1-bed, 1-bath, 839 square foot with a den. It sat on the market for 93 days and is in original condition. And lastly, Unit 301 sold in March of 2023 for $855,000. This unit is a 2-bed, 2-bath, 1,157 square foot unit. It was on the market for 9 days and had some built-in shelving. This unit is currently assessed at $851,000. Although Unit 301 and the subject property are the same model, Unit 301 is on the higher floor than the subject, but the subject property has an added value of $20,000 for its patio. The subject is one of 7 units on the second floor with an exterior patio. The patio faces the rear courtyard, and the subject appears to be in line with Unit 301 since it has the additional $10,000 for storage space. While the department doesn't apply an adjustment for the time a unit sits on the market, we do believe that that sales price is reflected on that time. During our analysis period, we had no reason to believe that the units that sold were seriously affected by their time on market. The subject saw no change in value from 2023 to 2024. 1-bedrooms did decrease 5%, but there was no change to the 2 or 3 bedrooms at Key Nash. Our assessments were very close to market value this year, and the final median ratio for this neighborhood was at 99.9%. I'd also like to note that this property has only seen 1 change in its assessment value in the last 5 years. Therefore, I kindly ask the board to confirm the 2024 assessment at $881,000 after a review of the analysis and information presented. Thank you.
Okay, thank you both. Questions from board members?
To the appellant, you mentioned, but you didn't say what or any details, that you referenced upper units sold for lower amounts. What were those and when were they?
Bond, that question is for you, sir.
Oh, I'm sorry. Based on what was given to me by the assessor, unit 301 was sold for $855. Around March 27, 2023. Also, there was one unit that was left out of the comparable that was given to me earlier. It was unit 207. It was sold in November 2nd, 2022 at unit 207 at $560.
Okay.
Do you know the size of it? Or how many bedrooms or how many square feet?
Based on my based on what was given to me, I did not do any research. I just only took the pure data that was given to me. Unit 207 was 853 square feet.
Okay, thank you.
Great, good stuff.
Mr. Lawson, you had a question?
Yeah, also for the applicant, do you own that patio?
I do not.
And does the unit above you have a balcony?
Yes. All the units above me have balconies.
Yeah.
Property.
No other questions?
Yeah. That's-
Mr. Matt?
For two questions, one for the department, is this project, this condominium, is this its own enclosed neighborhood, or does the neighborhood go around and enclose some others in the, on Cape Boulevard?
So the exterior part of the building is fully gated. And it is right at the front of it, the building, I mean, that's not enclosed.
No, I guess I wasn't clear. For your analysis purposes, are there more units, are there more buildings than this building in your neighborhood 09, 212?
No, it's just Key and Ash. For condominiums,
Just
the neighborhood
so-
is just one condo.
Good. And for the appellant, you mentioned that there are some units unsold and there are some units across the street in a different project, which we now know is a different neighborhood, but obviously close by, that are unsold. Are they unsold today? You're talking about kind of current events?
Yes.
Great. Thanks a lot.
Ms. Telleria, if you take a minute to wrap up, please.
Yes, so I'd like to remind the board that there was no change in this property's assessment value from 2023 to 2024. There was a jump in the 2023 assessment from 2022. But given the sale of unit 301, the value is right in line with other 2-bedroom units for 2024. Thank you.
Thank you. And Bond, if you take a minute to wrap up, sir.
Yes. The unit that, again, I have not done extensive research. I'm only looked across the street, which is at 1881 North Nash Street, which is a luxury high-rise. The sales price is listed at $860K. It has over 1,400 square feet and is on the 7th floor. And also the unit that I was referencing that is not selling has been over 6+ months. I think it's almost a year now. It's unit 302 in my, I'm sorry, I referenced the wrong one. Yes, unit 306 in my building, and it is listing at 824,960. The square footage is roughly the same as 1,066 square feet, and it has not moved in over a year, about a year. Because I really need to do all the research, but based on
Okay, thank you, sir.
research.
Your minute. Okay, it's just among the board members. Mr. Lawson.
I really fine-tuned the comparable number 1 to the subject. And what made 201 higher than 301 was the extra parking spot, and that's legitimate. But then you got a patio value of 20 grand. And I'm guessing that that's common open space, and that what he actually owns is probably comparable to the balcony above. So I think it's off by 20 grand. I'll see if anyone agrees.
Mr. Mansell?
There might, well, I'm not sure. I don't think the patio and balconies are equal. And I didn't go around the back. I don't think it's common area. I mean, generally, these kinds of things are gated. I mean, exclusive use, whether he owns it or not. Maybe they shouldn't be 20,000 apart. If there was no balcony upstairs, I could see this would be $20,000 value more.
Well, there
But
was a
I'm-
balcony.
No, I'm saying if there weren't,
Oh.
I could see that 20,000
Gotcha.
makes sense. I'm not so sure the 20,000 makes sense either.
Mhm.
The big issue, though, is of course that the appellant is suffering with lack of information about the assessment period. All of his defense has to do with units that have nothing to do with the assessment for this assessment period, mid 2022 to mid 2023. So I was hoping that the department would be able to help appellants in real time when they visit or interact with them in that regard. So I don't know, maybe the patio should be 15,000 and not 20 or something, but that's not the real number here. One last thing, the appellant mentioned that he claims he didn't get information directly from the department concerning this year's assessment. Maybe he did and didn't recognize it, but it would be a good thing for the department to make sure that that this appellant is on their mailing list.
Right, I mean, I agree. I think, the issue of, the appellant saying, well, I'm looking at previous years, which obviously, we can't do anything about previous years. But I do find it hard to believe that he hasn't been notified in years about it. And, even if you're not getting it from the county, the mortgage company would be saying, okay, we're reanalyzing your escrow, you're going up because your taxes went up. So I'm not putting a lot of weight on the, I didn't know. Or if he got it, didn't read it, or, whatnot. I mean,
What he said at the end is akin to what you're saying is, and I know it doesn't apply completely, but the fact that the one that 824, his same unit higher up is not sold for a year at that price. That causes me to pause a little. I don't know, it's not a sale, it's not a comp.
Yeah,
But it's not selling. And that's
what I'm thinking next year at this time,
Yeah.
we'll see much lower
yeah,
assessments. in this
it could
neighborhood.
impact him then.
Yeah, I mean, the department can't act on something that hasn't happened.
Yeah,
I thought comp one was, but I think maybe slightly reducing it based on the patio value, but I'm not sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, how fine tuned.
Right, it's so, I mean, I think that's. we're in the weeds.
20,000.
And then you've got other issues, other units that have patios, and being equalized.
Yeah, I'm betting that he's identical to everybody else. The patio value is the same on the second floor on the hill. That's too fine tuning.
That
I
way.
could say blur.
Yeah.
Slightly.
I think we're gonna see something next year.
Yeah, I thought originally, when I read the case, same as Mr. Lawson, I didn't really think that the patio was because in some condos, you see the difference when they're limited units, I guess, a lower pricing, but some of the projects that doesn't really make that much difference. And buildings that are not selling as quick, like this one, it's not over a year that it's been listed, it's 252 days. But I don't think it has made that much difference if you're out there or patios, it's a matter of preference. I think the $20,000 for that is.
I mean, who's to say whether it should be 17 or 20,
Right.
but it's not zero.
Be assessed the same as comparable one, except the parking value, 10,000 justifiable.
But he's equal to all the other patio.
Right.
That's where I have a problem.
And that's.
Yeah. There you go.
I motion we confirm the county's reduced number,
No, it's,
or no, excuse me, the county's number at 881.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? 42, and that's without Miranda. Mr. Lawson. Okay, the county is confirmed at 881,000 even. Thank you both. We have Ms. Cunha. Who?
I apologize for interrupting. I indicated to Rosa that I could get moved up in the agenda because I have a meeting at 10. So I was wondering if I could go next.
Who are you?
Mason Yen for 2224 North Tuckahoe.
Case number
See,
3.
All right, Ms. Cunha. Here we go. All right. So it's Mason Yen.
Yes, that's me.
All right, so then we will move to RPC 11005191 2224 North Tuckahoe Street. Mr. Yen,
Right.
you can tell us about this.
Okay, thank you. Yes, I appreciate the flexibility. So I respectfully disagree with the department's assessment of 944,500. My main contention is that this property was not appraised in a manner equitable with similar properties during the analysis period. So I was here last year. I think it's a little bit relevant with the history. Two things we focused on last year was that one of the properties, 6514 22nd Street, very similar to mine, sold for the exact same price around the same period. That was assessed at $879,300 for 2023. This year, it actually went down 5.2% to $833,700. So it's not really clear to me why this gap widened between this property and mine. This property had newer renovations, but was not an end unit. Last year, BOE agreed that it wasn't really clear why we assessed these two properties so differently. The second thing we talked about, and I think this is really important because it has to do with the valuation model that the department uses, but many BOE members agreed that the effective age of adding 18 years that was applied on the July 28th, 2022 sales verification exercise was not justified based off of the minimum changes to this home from its last sale in 2017. And the department was unable to provide a satisfactory answer to why they applied this plus 18 years. So I submitted additional evidence this year. You could see Exhibit C, which was the email correspondence I had with the seller that confirmed that the updates that they made were pretty minimal. They removed a wall in the main area. They added a large kitchen window, and then they also added window trimmings. And I honestly really loved the upgrades that they made, but they seem to not justify adding an 18-year effective age. They left me the previous listing, so I also submitted that into evidence in Exhibit D. On page 56, you can see the comparison of the 2022 listing with the 2017 listing. You can confirm what I've indicated here, that the changes that they've made since then were very minimal. And I also included the 2017 listing without the comparisons as well for your review. Last year we just kind of split the difference, but the department promised that they would reassess our development in the summer of 2023 to ensure that all the townhomes in my 12 townhome development were treated in a fair and equitable manner. But you can see in the table I submitted in Exhibit A that the inequality seems to have widened rather than decreased. I compared it to 7 other townhomes in my development, including other end units that are all in the interior portion facing away from Langston Street. And so you can see mine went up 5.7%, while the others typically only went up by about 2%. And it just seems to me that the department ignored all of the BOE feedback that was given last year. You can even look at the memo that Tia provided to the BOE that says that the value set by the department was put back. So therefore, they did not incorporate any of BOE's feedback. And so overall, I think this is the main thing that I want to bring up, is that this effective age is inappropriate. I submitted the evidence showing what this previous seller did that doesn't justify that 18-year effective age. Also provided the listing photos. I also want to show another point was that, there's a lot of, even if we make renovations that are the cosmetic changes, there's also a lot of issues underlying older homes. So I don't think the 2008 effective age is appropriate, considering a lot of the renovations were done in 2011, 2012. But I also submitted into the evidence a lot of the depreciation and issues that I've been dealing with. I know everyone deals with home maintenance issues, but some of these are pretty substantial, such as moisture and water intrusion into the damaging the foundation, chimney repointing, plumbing, and deck rotting. I understand all older homes have issues, but to me, these are directly relevant to the valuation of the home, as well as justifying that effective age is not appropriate. I also brought up 2 sales comparables. I think this is a secondary argument to my main one, but these seem to be the most similar townhomes to mine of a similar year and similar build, as well as proximity. 22204 North Tuckahoe sold for $800,000. 66705 Washington Boulevard sold for around $800,000 too. I do believe my property is a bit higher, better than those ones, so that's why my proposed value is $875,000. Sorry, am I out of time?
No.
No? Oh, okay. So let me just comment briefly on the departments comparables. A lot of those are not within my area. Let me see. They seem to be like 2 miles east of North Tuckahoe, closer to DC, into Arlington. So I'm not really sure why they were used as appropriate comparables, while mine, which are literally in my just a couple yards away from my home, seem to be better comparables. Yeah, so the one I gave, the 6705 Washington Boulevard, the department said was not in my neighborhood, but it's literally just a couple yards away from my townhome across the Verizon building we have in the middle. So it's like a 2-minute walk versus the comparables that she submitted, which are about like a 5-minute drive or so. Some of their sales comparables also seem to have been more recently renovated, like 5615 Langston Boulevard. In that listing, I noticed it actually had a recent 2023 renovation, but the effective age for that property was only 2000. So overall, I think I've made a strong case for that these properties are not appraised in an equitable manner. My only explanation to that is that the effective age is probably wrong. As I know from my own work, AVN models are only as good as what the input data that we put into them. So I really think that this effective age is what is driving the disparities between my home and these other comparable properties. Thank you for your consideration.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Cunha, for the county, please.
Good morning, board. So this property is a 3-story brick veneer siding townhome. It has 4 bedrooms, 3 full baths, and 1 half bath. The year built is 1980, and the effective age is 2008. The quality is very good plus, with finished square footage of 2,276. It's an end unit. The appellant feels that their home was not appraised in a manner equitable with similar properties, as his stated, during the analysis period, and they provided 2 sales comps for townhome properties in the adjacent development, not in the subject's neighborhood, but in the adjacent development. They were built at the same time and of similar size and amenities. They also provided 4 other end unit properties in their tax assessment, which have been attached to the BOE packet. So I'll speak on the 2 sales comps that they provided, which is RPC 11-005-105. This sold in January of 2023 for $800,000 and is assessed at $813,500. It was the only sale in that neighborhood, 50-18-11, and was used in the analysis. The record was also updated to reflect the current state of the house, and the effective age was changed to 1996. This is a center unit. The second RPC is RPC 11-005-155. It's sold in May of 2023 for $795,000 and is assessed at $793,500. It was an open market sale. This is a fully renovated home. I think this is the one the homeowner was speaking about, and the effective age was changed to 2005. This is another center unit in neighborhood 501701, and it was also used in the analysis for this neighborhood. Both these sales have comps of both these comps have a quality of good plus, as the subject only has a quality of very good plus. The department used 3 sales comps, all from outside the appellant's neighborhood, and can be found on page 4 of the BOE packet. The difference in value between the subject property and the comps provided is due to the fact that the subject property has a much recent effective age and also has a higher quality compared to the 2 comps. Appellant's neighborhood 50-18-18 changed on average 3.2% this year. This neighborhood only has 12 townhomes and there were no sales last year. So sales of similar townhouses in nearby neighborhoods were used to demonstrate fair market value. As a result of the homeowner's appeal last year and the recommendation of the board, a neighborhood walk was conducted for all homes in the subject's neighborhood. An exterior inspection was conducted for all other townhomes, and door hangers were left on doors for homeowners to respond to us and to gather as much information as possible to update our property records accurately and to make changes. Changes were made to reflect the findings for other homes. For example, RPC 11-005-183 is a home that had a kitchen remodel in 2011 and had all bathrooms updated in 2008. The effective age was brought up to 2010 to reflect the updates that were made, which is higher than the subjects at 2008. Before the neighborhood walk and property record updates, the subject had the highest effective age in the neighborhood, and now it does not. RPC 11-005-183 is now the highest effective age in the neighborhood. After reviewing the other parcels in the neighborhood, the effective age of 2008 is confirmed as being equitable and fair. In conclusion, Arlington County assesses properties at 100% fair market value. This property sold for $935,000 in 2002 and is being assessed at $944,500. An amount we believe is fair and equitable and is in fact only 1% higher than its sales price 2 years ago. So it is for this reason that the department is asking the board to confirm the 2024 assessment at $944,500. Thank you.
Okay, thank you both. Questions from board members? Tremendous.
Yeah, the neighborhood saw an average change of 3.2%, but the subject property saw a 5% increase. Is there something that you can point to that may have, caused the difference there between the average and the subject property's increase?
Pardon? Sorry, I didn't get your question.
Sure, yeah, the average change in the neighborhood was 3.2%, and this subject property saw a 5% increase. Is there something that you can point to that caused the larger than average increase for this property specifically?
So the neighborhood, let me just look it up. Oh, there was a second location multiplier that was used in this particular neighborhood. So this, and also the cost table updates last year were 5.1% for, yeah, there was a median change after cost table updates was 5%, which caused the 5% increase for the appellant's neighborhood. I mean, appellant's property, sorry.
I'm sorry, could you repeat?
There was a 5% median change after cost table updates for the entire neighborhood, which caused the appellant's property to go up by 5% as well.
The rest of the neighborhood was 3%.
Right, but the rest of the neighborhood was 3.2%? Oh, because it was lower last year?
We lowered it
Okay,
in our BOE.
okay.
So we're just ignoring this.
Other questions? Mr. Matzke?
But for the department, I have questions on comps, your comps 1 and 2. First, is there an outside influence reduction on either of these? I don't see it in the table, but maybe it's there.
For the
Given
land
that-
stock.
Please go ahead.
Let me just look that quickly. Let me look that up quickly.
mean, they're both on very busy roads, and comp two, of course, is a block from the hospital, actually now across from the hospital.
Yes, that's correct. Some homes do get an adjustment for being on Langston Boulevard and George Mason, but I'm trying to look up if these particular townhomes do get that adjustment. So give me a second.
Sure.
Unfortunately, they do not. The one on Langston Boulevard does not get an adjustment. And
Trying to decide how reliable these are as comparables. But then I have a follow-on question with the same purpose in mind.
there are no adjustments at this time for the George
Thanks.
Mason and the Langston Boulevard townhomes.
Okay, the same two comparables. Go to page 6, the CMA map. Are you sure that comparable 1 on Langston Boulevard is shown correctly on that map, and also comparable 2? I mean, maybe they're just flipped because the streets aren't named, but George Mason isn't west of Harrison, as an example.
Oh, I think they're flipped. I was looking.
They're
at
they're
they're just
distorted.
flipped.
When creating the map, the 1, 2, 3 kind of got messed up. So 1 is the one on George Mason Drive, and not the one on Langston Boulevard.
So 1 and 2 are flipped, and 3 is okay. 21st Street.
21st. Yes, 3 is okay.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah, this is for the county. Do you factor in at all in establishing value based on easy walking distance to Metro?
Easy. That's a good question. For condos, yes, but not for residential properties.
Any other questions? Okay, Ms. Arnya, if you take a minute to wrap up, please.
So although there were no sales in the appellant's direct neighborhood, sales data from nearby neighborhoods were used to derive an equitable and fair assessment. So it is for this reason we asked the 2024 assessment value to be confirmed. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Yun, if you take a minute to wrap up, sir.
Sure, yeah. So I really don't think the county's comparables are very well matched with my property. So comparable 1 I mentioned had a very recent renovation, but the effective age is only 2000. It's also 1.5 miles away from my home. Comparable 2 seems a bit more comparable. This one is also strange because it was only assessed at $790K, but it is also 2 miles east between Westover and Ballston. Comparable 3 is about 2.2 miles away. If you look at the photos for that, it has a much larger living space and a very impressive courtyard and skylight. The comparables that I submitted were much more similar to my property. And, you know, I think also the comparable for assessment, this one next to Langston, I don't think this one should have been adjusted upwards that much. I mean, to me, that just shows more inequality between these 2 homes, as well as the other homes in my development and my vicinity.
Thank you. Okay. All right, now it's just among the board. Where is everybody? Mr. Long.
Yeah, I'll just throw out my thinking. This property went up by 46,000. And if you applied the average to this neighborhood, it would have gone up by about 28. And I think that there were legitimate reasons why it got lowered last year. I'm not even sure I participated on this particular one last year. And so I don't think that, I think we should apply a equal increase to what it was last year. That's just my thinking.
You know what number you got for that?
Well, let's see, 898 plus 28.
Oh, you're doing it. I don't agree with the comps the county had. It's not the same world. Where they're, I know that area well, and I know the other properties that I live along there. And also they do, because we've had it come up before, they do increase your walking distance from metro from a single family residential.
So what's your conclusion?
That they're, I assume that increases in here with that entire neighborhood. That's an
So if the
assumption.
market does it for
Yeah.
For everybody.
Right.
But the county, I know, because there was one of them, Underwood, a couple of years ago. One was 45,000, one neighbor to the next because they were at that line.
that circle.
What's approximate and what's not?
Okay, so what's your final number?
I got 926,900.
Adding 20,000?
I got 926,900 by upping it by 28.
Or 28,000?
Okay, would you like to make a motion? Mr. Wilson?
Yeah, I'll make a motion that we reduce the assessed value to $926,900 based upon a comparable 3.2% increase based from last year's assessed value.
Second. Mr. Mendez. In favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous, the assessment is reduced to 926,900. Thank you both.
Thank you.
Do we have questions?
Thank you.
Right, so then I guess Mr. Sue is not going to be here, so we'll move him to the end. Do we have Ulysses?
I'm here.
Okay, you want to turn your camera on? And then also, do we have Justin Terrell?
Yes, I'm here.
Can you turn your camera on, sir?
Yes, you'd like me to go next or?
Yes. Yep, we're going to do you next.
Okay, perfect.
Do you have a camera that you can turn on? You just audio.
Yes.
Okay, there we go. All right, next on the agenda is RPC 18035-018. Property is located at 2506 10th Street North. Mr. Terrell, you can start with your 8 minutes and tell us about the property.
Sure. This is a exact replica of the house next door to me. I'm at 2506 10th Street. 2500 10th Street North is directly next to me. They were built at the same time by the same builder. Ours is a 3-bedroom, 2.5 bath. There's a 3-bedroom, 3-bath, 3 full bath. Otherwise, the properties are almost exactly the same. Their house was sold last year, September 26, 2022 for $825,000. And it was taxed at $924,000 or assessed at $924,000 in 2022. Ours, was just as exact, basically the same house in the same location, right next door, same builder, same year that the house was built. And I look back, when we bought our house in 2018, I don't know how relevant it is, but we bought it for about $40,000 less than it was assessed back then. So I feel like our house has just been continuously overassessed for the past few years, and just the fact that the house next door was sold for about $100,000 less than it was assessed at that time, kind of makes my case for me.
Okay, thank you, sir. Mr. Ulysses for the county, please.
Good morning, board. Nice to see everyone. Let's get right into it. This case is about a 2-story framed home over slab.
with 3 bedrooms, 2.5 baths, that was built in 1976 and has been well maintained. An exterior and interior property inspection was conducted on February 13th, 2024 at about 10 a.m. with Travis Shelton as a second appraiser and the homeowner, Mr. Terrell. The appellant feels that their assessment is inaccurate when compared to the sale next door, which was a valid open market sale that was included in the analysis. Other comps provided by the appellant are outside the neighborhood, which have different sales comps affecting their location multiplier. The comp provided on Washington Boulevard by the appellant supports the county's mass appraisal methodology, given the sales to assessment ratio. And the other comp provided by the appellant is owned by an LLC with a pending EHO permit, which makes for a poor comp. The appellant's neighborhood, 506057 Arlington Park, increased on average 2.8% due to sales that occurred within the analysis period and within the neighborhood. Subject property assessment increased 1.2% from the prior year. Prior to changes made from the stemming from the review, after updating the record, the year-to-year change is now negative. Properties grade and effective age were reviewed during the inspection and changes were made to the record. They are as follows. Changes to the record to the subject are the quality was lowered from average plus to average, updated some patio and deck measurements, and we applied a negative 5% reduction to the improvement for being on 10th Street. That reduction gets applied both to the land and the improvement, resulting in a total changes for the improvement from 157,300 to 125,800 for a total change of 985,700 to 954,200. A large factor in the decision to reduce the subject's quality was that it does not have a basement, but was rather built over slab. This neighborhood, and specifically this section of Barton, has a couple small homes that are 1 or 2 stories built over slab. These homes typically come in a little lower than comparable homes with basements. In this neighborhood, not enough of the disparity in value was being captured by the rebuild cost, and the qualities have been reduced to make up for the negative desirability factor of these homes. A recent sale example of this is 311 North Barton Street, which is located 2 blocks from the subject and will count for next year's sales analysis. This property is also 2 stories over slab and sold lower than its assessed value. During the sales verification of this property, the quality was adjusted as well to assist in reducing the improvement value due to the less desirable nature. The sales comps that are provided on the comp sheet are properties that sold in the analysis period and within the subject's neighborhood. These comparables demonstrate what market value in the neighborhood is and can be used to extrapolate the subject's value. Sales comps 2 and 3 demonstrate the subject's size falls somewhere between comps 2 and 3. The quality assignment of average considers that this home is different as reflected in the building assessment value.
Is that it?
It is recommended that the 2024 assessment be revised to 954,200 based on the inspection changes made.
Okay, thank you both. Questions from board members? Mr. Metzger.
I think this is for the department. Both the appellant and the department referred to the house next door on 10th Street. But the department, as I understand it, referenced that it was somewhere, maybe I don't have it in front of me. You had mentioned that it is reviewed, the house next door, which is built at the same time. It's not on the comp sheet on page 4, the discussion of it. You know, it was built a long time ago, so I'm sure there's lots of changes. Where is that? Could you refresh my memory on what the assessment is and other information? Because again, the house next door that was built at the same time by the same developer.
If he's looking for the house next door was assessed in 2022 for 924 and was sold for 825,000. So about 100,000 less than the assessment.
What about the 2023 assessment to compare with this one?
1 second.
Because I don't see it written anywhere. You had said that it's included in the analysis and I can't find it.
It looks like on the map. It's 922.
It was an early sale in the analysis, because of the sales date of 9/23/2020. If you look on the analysis sheet, it'll probably be one of the first 2 or 3 sales that was included in the analysis.
It looks like the 2023 assessment is 912. So still,
12,700.
yeah, so about 90,000 above sale price.
Okay, my other question to the Department of the Maps, I think on the CMA map, which I guess is page 5, maybe comps 1 and 3 are switched.
Correct.
Okay.
As far as on the map, as far as where they're
Okay.
listed on the map.
Yeah, something's going on with your software. And then on the plat sheet, do we have the wrong grayed out area for 2514 and we don't have anything for the appellant's 2506? Oh, next door. Okay. So it's just the wrong got. Yeah, I was looking to the left instead of the right. So it's the corner, 2506, the corner on Barton.
Right.
Yeah.
That's the one. Yes.
When I see obvious errors, I get nervous that maybe there's errors elsewhere as well. Okay, thank you.
Other questions? Mr. Let's see if you take a minute to wrap up, sir.
Sure. It is recommended the 2024 assessment be revised to 954,200 based on the inspection changes made. 954,200 can be confirmed as fair and equitable based on the sales analysis that was done for the neighborhood and is supported by the sales comps provided and abides by our mass appraisal methodology, which we apply evenly throughout the county.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Terrell, if you take a minute to wrap up, sir.
Sure. I just, it's rare that you're going to find the exact same house right next door. And the fact that it was overappraised by 90,000 in 2023 and, basically 100,000 when it was sold in 2022. I just feel like our house is also being overassessed. Thank you.
Thank you both. All right, it's just among the board members. Where's everybody on this?
Definitely think it's high. I think the comp next door is very telling. It wasn't taken into account as much as maybe it should have been in. But I'm not sure where the number would be because I know it's sold for 825. The appellant has 850 for their number, so it's definitely lower, but I'm not sure.
Sold in 22.
And yeah, 22, yeah. Or
Which is the one next door? Is that the grayed out one, 2514?
2500 10th Street.
2510, it's the corner one.
It's just among the board. You need to not participate now.
I'm sorry.
The monster one, the other side of Barton.
One other corner. No, right next door.
Oh, I see these numbers are off. I see what's going on. Okay, so this is the appellant's lot, but it's mislabeled.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Okay.
Just
Yeah,
draw.
so the land is bigger.
The appellants is bigger.
Am I able to just weigh
No,
in on that? The square footage is basically the same.
no, you mute him. No, sir, you're done. Just the board members. Don't interrupt again. Mr. Penaranda.
Yeah, I thought the same, house next door. Pretty comparable. Mine is the- The balance lot, I think it's in no shape. And the one looks sort of, I guess I think that really goes down. Me, hard to cut grass and the reduction that the county made.
It's a difference in the improvement. It's 13,000.
13,000.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's a judgment call at best. I don't think the comparables don't add anything.
No, the comparables.
Maybe that's all they had to work with, but they're not.
So can you look at the revised number? Yeah.
I think it should be low, but. I think I'll get out
I get two. And where are you?
No, the only piece of information we have is the department going in and assessing the actual facts of the improvements and coming out with some reduction, some changes. And they now therefore have better facts to base their assessment on. So that's the best we can do in this case.
I think that his top neighbor, it's a $13,000 difference for the house.
And the department wasn't in there assessing everything.
Yeah, so I'm not, I'm
The
a
value of the kitchen cabinets and stuff. It's too close.
You know, the comps, I mean, the lot of the neighbor has setback issues, being a corner lot. So I think the lot probably has more value. The land,
Which lot? The appellant's lot has more value?
yeah,
Less so.
I think so. It's 828 versus 782. And Jose, those lawnmowers have wheels.
if you go to the lot on the other side, he's pretty, it's an 830. His is 828. And they're the two lots going to the other direction, not toward the corner. Those lots are similar. So the lots line up that way, the improvements line up with the improvement on the corner lot.
I mean, the actual improvement of the appellants right now is 125.8. The price the next door neighbor 1.43.
He should appeal. He should appeal.
Okay, would somebody like to make a motion?
I'll go ahead and move that we confirm the revised assessment of.
Okay, motion by Mr. Yates, all in favor? Aye, opposed? 5-1 without Mr. Mendez. The county's revised number of 954,200 has been confirmed. Thank you both. Do we have Mr. Rita Boney?
I'm here.
Next case. There we go. Is RPC 1803520 at 932 North Barton Street. Mr. Guidaboni, you can start with your 8 minutes and tell us about this property, sir.
Yes, ma'am. The property is the other neighbor of the one you just heard. It's on Barton Street, adjacent to 2500 North 10th. And most of what Mr. Terrell said applies to us, but in spades. My house was built a year before his, so it's a year older. My house has had no major renovations. Both of the two that you discussed just 2 minutes ago have had at least one and probably several major renovations. The house is also somewhat smaller, maybe 300-400 square feet, I think. 137 square feet, I'm sorry, smaller. And I want to make one point, which is that I have no complaints about the reassessment of the land value. I thought Mr. Yelsey took into account the appropriate things. So what I'm talking about is really two things. One is that, like my predecessor, I know that the house next door to mine, which is renovated and bigger, sold for $825,000, just like he told you. And my assessment, even as revised by the department after the appeal, is $931,000. So that's pretty substantial. The other thing I wanted to say is I don't understand how my house, which is now a year older, went up from the assessment in 2023 of 79,200 to the revised assessment of 100,900. It's a year older. No major renovations were done. In fact, no renovations were done. But somehow it went up $30,000. And it's a mystery to me, unless somehow there in the factor there's kind of a teeter-totter effect. If you lower the land, you raise the property, or vice versa. I don't know, but maybe somebody can explain that part to me. Okay, so I think that the land value that was done on the revision of 830,400 was appropriate, and I'm not questioning that. I do think the overall assessment was too high, given that the house right next door was sold in the period, the applicable period, for way less than what I'm assessed at, what he was assessed at. It's a true comparable, built by the same guy, built within a year of each other, and mine's in worse condition. So, and smaller. So that's really my case, which is that the comparable, the real comparable, and I would say that probably most of you have driven by this neighborhood, maybe this morning on the way here. And it's a very strange neighborhood. It's hard to really put a handle on it. I've got mansions across the street, built last year, and I got low rises and high rises and the old Lee Gardens and everything else in my neighborhood. So it is really fair to look at the three houses on the corner and compare them. And I think that the assessment was high, and I think it was high by $75,000, $80,000. But I think most of that comes from the revised building, upward of $30,000. So I'd ask you to go back to maybe a $72,000, $73,000 figure on the building. Leave the land as Mr. Yelsey did it on the revision, and that probably would be a fair result. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Ulysses for the county, please. Turn your microphone on.
Sorry. Good morning, board again. The subject in this case is a two-story framed home over slab with 3 bedrooms, 2.5 bathrooms that was built around 1976 and is well maintained. An exterior and interior property inspection was conducted on 3/4/2024 at 10 a.m. with Travis Shelton as a second appraiser and the homeowner. The appellant feels that their assessment is inaccurate when compared to the sale next door, which was a valid open market sale that was included in the analysis. In this instance, the appellant is also concerned an easement wasn't being properly recognized. Appellant's neighborhood 506057 Arlington Park increased on average 2.8% due to sales that occurred within the analysis period and within the neighborhood. Subject's property's assessment increased 1.3 from the prior year. After corrections, it actually decreased. Property's grade and effective age appear in line with the neighborhood and current condition. Property was inspected and changes were made to the record. Changes to the subject were added a shed, applied a negative 5% reduction to land for the easement to the neighbor on the westernmost point of the lot. There was also a negative 5% reduction for being on Barton Street that was applied to both the land and the improvement. And also in this one, there was a change in the condition. Typically we change quality, but in this case, historically the condition was suppressed. And after looking at all the houses, I equalized the conditions and qualities to one another in this particular instance. All these changes resulted in a land value change from 874,100 to 786,700, and the improvement changed from 72,000 to 100,900 for a total value change of 946,100 to 887,600. 887,600 can be confirmed as a fair market assessment of market value and is equitable with similar homes in the neighborhood. A large factor in the decision to reduce the subject's quality was that it does not have a basement, but was rather built over slab. The neighborhood, and specifically this section of Barton, has a couple of small homes that are 1 or 2 story, built over slab. These homes typically come in a little lower than comparable homes with basements. In this neighborhood, not enough of the disparity in value was being captured by the rebuild cost, and the qualities have been reduced to make up for the negative desirability factor of these homes. A recent sale example of this is 311 North Barton Street, which is located 2 blocks from the subject and will count for next year's sales analysis. This property is a 2-story over slab and sold lower than the assessed value. During the sales verification of this property, the quality was adjusted as well to assist in reducing the improvement value due to their less desirable nature. The comps that are provided on the comp sheet are properties that sold in the analysis period and within the subject's neighborhood. These comparables demonstrate what market value is in the neighborhood and can be used to extrapolate the subject's value. Sales comps 2 and 3 demonstrate the subject's size falls somewhere between comps 2 and 3. The quality assignment of average negative considers that this home is different as reflected in the building assessed values. In this case, the appellant mentions that there's an easement in the rear of the property for which a negative 5% adjustment to the land was added. The subject's lot is 5,217 square foot. The rear corner of this lot has been fenced off by the appellant and is used by the neighbor. This section was estimated at 54 square feet, which would be 1% of the subject's total lot size. That was updated to the record and is now acknowledged accurately. It is recommended that the 2024 assessment be revised to $887,600 based on the inspection changes made.
Okay, thank you both. Questions from board members? Mr. Long.
Yeah, for the county, you have a reduction for outside influence Barton. Why exactly was that adjustment made?
For being on Barton, which is a busy street.
Is it more busy than 10th?
10th also gets a 5% adjustment.
It does?
Yes. But really what you're saying, it's an equal outside influence to 10. 5% equals 5%.
Okay.
And then you'll notice in the corner, the corner lot actually gets both influences.
In the outside influence, do you all do traffic studies, or how do you decide a street's busy enough for the deduction?
We do periodic studies, but it's mostly based on sales.
Okay, and the easement that, where is the easement? And
that was provided by, that was paperwork that Mr. Thomas provided. It's on the corner of his lot. It gives access to his neighbor. His neighbor uses it to access his lot next to it.
that's interesting. So it's an ingress egress easement.
Yes, it's not a utility.
Okay. That's it.
Mr. Ulysses, if you take a minute to wrap up, sir.
It is recommended that the 2024 assessment be revised to $887,600 based on the inspection changes made. $887,600 can be confirmed as fair and equitable based on the sales analysis that was done for the neighborhood. It is supported by the sales comps provided and abides by our mass appraisal methodology, which we apply evenly throughout the county.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Guidaboni, if you take a minute to wrap up, sir. Can you turn your microphone on, sir?
I'll make this real easy for you. The letter that I got from the department put the revised total at $931,300. The figure that Mr. Yelsey gave us for the revised building is not the one I got. I got $100,900. But to cut to the chase, I would accept if the board will accept it, Mr. Yelsey's revised figure of 887,600. And
Sure.
if
It's a good.
that would be fine with me. If I'd have gotten that originally, I would have withdrawn the appeal. So if you have questions, I'd be glad to answer them.
Okay, thank you both. All right, so it sounds like we're in agreement here.
Yep.
The revised number.
I'd like to move that we accept the department's revised total assessment of $887,600.
Second.
Motion and second by Mr. Lawson, all in favor?
Aye.
It's unanimous. The county's revised number of 887,600 is confirmed. Thank you, gentlemen. We bring back Ms. Cunha.
That's why I was asking questions.
There we go. Okay, so the last case, the appellant is not here. The RPC is 09022-019 at 5713 16th Street North. Cunha, you can start with your 8 minutes and tell us about this property.
Good morning again, board. So this is a 2-story house with 3 bedrooms and 2 full baths. The year built is 1947 and effective age is 2007. The quality is good plus, and the finished square footage is 1,196 with the basement having a square footage of 508. So the appellant's concerns are that Zillow has their home valued at 991,100. So they believe that should be their assessment for 2024. They provided one sale comp, which is RPC 09013008. This home sold in July of 2023 for 930,000 and is being assessed at 934,000. This property is inferior to the subject in terms of quality, effective age, and it also has no basement. It is in the adjacent neighborhood of 505019. The department used 4 sales comps, which can be found on page 4 of the BOE packet, and these sales can prove that the assessment for the subject is in line with market values in the area. The appellant's neighborhood 50-50-20 increased on average 0.8% due to sales that occurred within the analysis period and within the neighborhood. The property sold for 955,500, which was 56,000 over asking price and 25,000 below the assessment value for that year. During the time of the sale, it was noted that the basement, kitchen, and bathrooms had been updated, so was the roof and the front door. So this bumped up the effective age to 2007, adding 30 years. An exterior inspection was conducted with the homeowner, and an interior inspection was conducted using MLS pictures online. A laundry sink was added to the basement, which caused a small increase in the improvement value for the 2024 assessment, which will be reflected next year. In conclusion, the property sold for 955,500 and is being assessed at 1,027,300, an amount we believe is fair and equitable. So it is for this reason that the 2024 assessment be confirmed at 1,027,300.
Okay, thank you. Questions from board members? No, that's good. Okay, any final comments?
The appellant's home was one of the sales the department used in the 2024 assessment for the neighborhood 50-50-20. After reviewing other properties and sales, the subject's assessment is equalized. So therefore, it is recommended that the 2024 assessment be confirmed.
Okay. Thank you. All right, it's just among the board. Pretty good. Go ahead. We'll let the realtors comment.
Of course, Zillow has nothing to do with the assessed value, but I thought it was funny. I looked up what this estimate is at, and it's right under the county's number. It's at $1,023,700. So.
All right, anybody different? All right, then I'm going to move to confirm the county at $1,027,300. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, Mr. Mendez, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Unanimous. The county's confirmed at $1,027,300. Completes the agenda. Anybody got any other business?
Yeah, I'll share something, kind of like Jose spotted the same thing. We had a townhouse appeal a couple of meetings ago. And, so I'm looking it up, and I'm looking at it, it says that the property does not have a garage or a driveway, something like that. And I'm looking at it, There's a garage and a driveway. It seems like the addresses are being wrong on the tax map.
The first,
Yeah,
I don't know how it's happened, but it's.
yeah, because I studied it for the longest time and I figured out it was one over.
Well, that's what we saw. on
Something
this 10th Street.
they're moving out of residential, so it's not.
Maybe it's a software
Yeah,
thing.
an issue, but hopefully
Yeah.
for next year we get that.
Okay.
All right, well, that being said, we will adjourn here at 10:31. And reconvene next Tuesday, July 3rd at 9 a.m. with the virtual meeting for everyone.
Well,
Yes. Oh, I like getting dressed up and putting on shoes.
Come as you are. Come.
Certainly virtually.
Okay.
Right.